Good morning. Nice of you guys to drop by.
What a piece of junk. What are you talking about?
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
Look, don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine. Trust me.
I don't know what all this trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be your fault. Don't get technical with me.
This bickering is pointless.
Don't everybody thank me at once.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
How could you even say that?
I got a bad feeling about this.
Well, come on. Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Would you get going, you pirate?
Get in there, you big furry-o! I don't care what you smell!
I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
If what you've told me is true, you will have gained my trust.
I like the sound of that.
Get a shuttle ready.
I don't know. Fly casual.
Shuttle Tydirium, what is your cargo and destination?
Transmission commencing.
Hi, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in to the Shuttle Tydirium podcast, the mothership of casual X-Wing. I am your host and pilot, Jim Chadwick, also known as Hey Chadwick on the forums. Sitting next to me is my co-pilot, Baba Gadoosh, and also Phil.
Morning, everybody. I have an update on the ongoing Ewok luggage handler strike going on Endor. Your bags are safe. Only the ones that were already reported as destroyed were unfortunately destroyed, but no more bags have been burned. The Ewoks and the strike negotiators are coming to a settlement soon, I think. As you know, the Ewoks are on strike for better hours, better wages, and I think there was something about more livestock and something else about Imperial POWs. But I think that situation is going to be all cleared up very soon.
Well, Phil,
thank
I don't
you,
know
thank
if
you
you
for
know.
your patience.
I don't know if you know, Phil, but we have one of the negotiators on board. We have our protocol droid, J-Bot.
Yeah, maybe you can fix that situation once we get to Endor.
Oh, well, I'd already have it in hand, but apparently somebody got rid of all of my bags I was using for sandbag walls I was planning. But we'll find another source of defensive positions, and I'm sure we can take these negotiations to the next level.
And also here to help clear up any Wookiee fur or Ewok body parts, we have Jake Freed, our chief engineer.
That's right, and I don't know when in my years and years of Imperial schooling at the Academy, chief engineer became body disposal, but it does seem to be one of my primary functions here on the ship. And just a reminder to our J-Bot protocol droid, you really can't use the Gonk droid as a barrier during your negotiations for the Ewok strike. It's he's got enough damage and dents already, and he's not even speaking English anymore.
Oh, I didn't think you'd noticed that.
And actually, I do assign you Jake because you keep complaining about all my two banks. I mean, I'm going to start calling you Jake the Break.
Yes, exactly. That's good.
All right. Well, just wanted a quick touch in tonight. While after J-Bot left because he had to go prep some Ewok parts, I was playing with the local guy Jason and with his TIE Punisher Jason, and we had some guy walk up and he comes up and he goes, "Hey, so what's all this going on?" So out of all the tables in the back of the store, he kind of walks up to my table and he's like, "What's all this?" And he's curious and looking at these Star Wars stuff, and Jason just laughs and says, "I'm just going to let him do all the talking." Nice. And so since I pretty much started the local scene, and so I sat down and I talked to him and showed him things while we were playing the game. I'm showing him the dials and explaining as it goes, and then soon he's on the phone, he calls his wife over, and his wife drives up, and the two of them sit down and they're hitting my little pew pew button that I have and rolling dice. We're making bad jokes and laughing, and I think they were pretty interested in it. Went and looked at the stuff, and who knows, maybe we'll see them again next week. So just for anyone that wants to know how to get new players, or maybe get players into your way, because I can explain it. Well, some of these tournament guys, they're a little hardcore, but we like to be laid back. So if you find people that are interested in the game, you can always tell them how you enjoy the game, and it might help steer them towards more casual play. And so always be on the lookout for anyone who comes by. Anyone looks for more than 5 seconds, start talking to them.
Yeah, that sounds what it's like. It's what it's all about right there.
Yeah. and that helps build the scene. And that just be there and be open and forget the game you're in. Make sure you can be accessible to someone. Anyone else got any cool little stories, tidbits, anything interesting?
The Custom Card League is moving along. Right now we're voting on the second round of ship entries, so that's the finalization of the custom ships that are going into Vassal. So right now we have the Assault Gunboat, TIE Avenger, Soros Sub, Luxury Yacht 3000. That's Lando's ship in the books, Legends books, and the V-Wing from the prequels. I think it appears briefly in Episode 3.
I thought Lando's ship was the Falcon.
I was going to say that too.
Not anymore.
All right. So we can go straight into the captain's question after that then. So this is a question. Who is your favorite Star Wars character of the moment? So don't give me the guy you always say, I love this one obscure guy, he's always my favorite, I put him on the pedestal, I have a bobblehead. No, like for the moment, like what is your just kind of, for whatever reason, whether you read a comic or you like to fly him, who's your favorite Star Wars character of the moment? J-Bot, should we go to you first?
No, I'm going to skip. I know who it is. I just can't remember the name right off the top of my head. Really bad with names.
All right.
But yeah, skip me for just a second. I'm looking up the name.
Jake the Break?
Yeah, you got it. My favorite character in the moment is General Grievous. I think we all know who this kind of classic character is. He's that cyborg, half robot, half strange alien reptilian warrior.
Yeah, but isn't he always your favorite?
He is always my favorite. He's also my in the moment favorite. He's the all-around guy. I keep on falling back to him. I'm in love with the guy. What can I say? He's a robot, and I can work with him. I can respect him. And 4 lightsabers. Like
he's not a robot. He's a cyborg.
That's true. He would actually be very offended for me calling him a robot. But just 4 lightsabers, the spinning blades of death. You can't go wrong. I mean,
all right. Well, what about a secondary? Even just like I've been looking at this guy. He kind of intrigues me.
If I had to choose a secondary, I would probably go with. I don't think I would be able to choose a specific name, character name, but the Jawa on Tatooine that sells Uncle Owen the droids has been one of my favorites for a long time. I mean, I love the species of Jawas, little desert scavengers, and I love that they just try and sell kind of broken down droids for a profit and try and repair them. That's got to be my next choice.
All right. Well, to get you guys in the spirit, I'll go next because I just want to throw out there. I like Dengar lately because he kind of his ship just came out. I kind of looked him up. I've been looking at him. The Star Wars Battlefront, the Bespin downloaded content just came out, and he's the new Imperial character, and he's a monster. He's got that machine gun, based on that old World War II German one, and he's got explosives, and he's just a total beast in that game. He can just rip people apart. And so I got to play tonight, with a 100-point list, I think for the second time with Dengar and a non-optimal build, and I think it's a cool ship. It's just fun. I really like it. I really like a turreted ship, but you still want to be in the front arc. And I just think Dengar is a neat little choice. Like blow things up, and so that's just my of the moment.
I never get over Dengar's kind of look. I'll be honest with you. I just never could get over it really does just look like the toilet paper wrapped around the head. Like
he chose the toilet theme in Bounty Hunter School.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like he got stuck with it. He was the last person to choose his outfit. And he's like, oh man, this is gonna be bad.
See, I didn't know anything about Dengar at first, and I actually read like the Bounty Hunter Awards, and he stinks in that. He sucks. He's not interesting in that. He's all like whiny and Boba Fett's amazing. And I was like, I didn't really care for that series. And I probably just made it 100 enemies right there. But, it was kind of like, But then they announced the ship, and I just kind of like, and it was in Clone Wars, and I just kind of, I don't know. The ship came out of the moment. I'm really digging him. and he's a beast in that game. So, of the moment. So just like right now, he's not my favorite all-time character, but I like him right now. All right, Phil?
Question. Does it have to be canon or, official in some way, or can it be maybe like a fan-made character?
Oh, now you're reaching. But I guess it could be anything. But I'm hoping, once again, it's just of the moment. So it doesn't have to be your all-time.
Because, okay, well, so I'll do two, and they're pretty similar. Fan-made would have to be Creepio. Now, I know you and Jake know about Creepio. I'm not sure if Jonathan has watched the Oral Knots Star Wars, but Creepio is the version of C-3PO in the Oral Knots Star Wars parody videos.
Flesh, you promised me flesh.
He's obsessed with because Anakin builds him without skin. He's obsessed from that moment on with acquiring flesh and becoming more human by killing people and attaching their body parts to him. And he has a huge he has like big time daddy issues. He's trying to live up to his father's expectations. He is eventually responsible for the destruction of Alderaan.
By Alderaan. Manchurian Candidate. Yeah.
So I find Creepio hilarious. And then Creepio might have actually... I think that Creepio actually inspired a character in a comic book series. So,
oh yeah,
Marvel.
The Marvel Darth Vader series has a protocol droid that works for Darth Vader.
000.
000.
He's actually an assassin bot, but he's meant to look like a protocol.
Yeah, he's really messed up. So he specializes in torturing people and just all sorts of sadistic stuff. But he has sort of the personality of a protocol droid. So he's good for a lot of laughs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I did find out that they're actually going to end the Darth Vader series with episode 25.
Yeah.
Which
that's sad days.
Not because it didn't sell well or anything like the Kanan, which actually it sold amazing when it started, and then it didn't do as well. It lost half its sell people, but it was still better than any other Marvel line that wasn't Star Wars. But they still canceled it. I'm still a bit bitter about that. But they're just going to go so far, and their story is going to be complete. And they're going to end it.
Well, in a sense that it almost makes sense, because when you think about it, the Darth Vader comic, which is, by the way, in case any of our listeners haven't checked it out, it's highly worth it. It's really a very good series. But it does take place between episode 4 and 5. So, there's only so much content that they can really cram in there between those two time frames. And you also don't want to go overboard with too much storytelling, because then it might take away from actually what's canon in the movie.
Yeah.
But having said that,
the story group probably wants to explore that space.
Exactly. Yeah.
They have the moment where Darth Vader figures out it's his son is Luke Skywalker.
Coolest moment in any comic book I've ever read.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, but that was the strike. So Phil, that was yours. Good choices. I like those. I was a little scared when you said fanfic, so I was. All right, so
some crazy ones in the fan fiction world.
Creepio is pretty crazy, but
true. I just meant the fan.
This is my kind of crazy.
From Dotshound Lover _3, I read this. Anyways,
Skippy the Jedi astronaut droid.
Yeah,
right.
Hasn't everybody written a fan
real.
fiction? I mean, I thought that was part of the deal. Y'all haven't written a fan fiction?
I have not.
I'm disappointed in you. Really disappointed. I mean, I've got a 300-page novel written, ready to go. As soon as they tap me on the shoulder, hey man, we need your story. Like if they run out, I'm there. So y'all just let anybody know it's ready to go at a moment's notice. Okay, so I found the name. I'm really bad with names. It's Sabine from the Rebels cartoon.
Yeah.
I am a massive fan of the Mandalorian kind of look. I always have been since, obviously, from Boba Fett. So you don't really see female versions of that very often. And for whatever reason, I just think it's cool and that she kind of expresses her character through artistic sort of things. Between, I guess, like the paintings and I guess I don't know what is it? Spray paint, the equivalent of graffiti and spray paint in the Star Wars universe. To me, it's a very kind of, at least from what I've seen of the Rebels, and I've only watched, half a dozen, 7 or 8 episodes so far. It's very different from kind of a cliche character for me. Obviously, I mentioned that I do a little writing. A lot of the other ones in the show seem very cliche, and it's just a little different. It's outside the kind of realm of what you'd expect to be thrown in this kind of hodgepodge of characters and a kind of a situation comedy sort of feel. And she kind of sticks out as she doesn't always really fit into this group, of kind of standard classic TV show tropes, but it still works. It still works for me, and it's. I like that. I like when people throw a wrinkle into stories and they throw something in there, a character or something that you just kind of unexpected and you don't know where it's going to go. Like you don't know kind of where the character came from, what their motivation is, and it leaves a lot of open possibilities for the show down the line. And I think that's why I've kind of dug the character recently.
It's kind of interesting because like her house was with Death Watch, but then either she broke off or her family broke off from Death Watch, but they're not part of that anymore. So they're kind of Mandalorian, they're kind of Death Watch, but they're kind of not. And then she grew up, with her best friend, and their goal was to get in the Black Sun. It was a lifelong goal. And
which isn't exactly the highest peak of the of the galaxy, but I guess it is a pretty big criminal organization there. So why not?
And with the new wave coming out, she's going to be a cross faction pilot. She's going to be in Scum with the Shadowcaster.
And I'm absolutely interested in seeing that, just to kind of see how that plays. And I can't remember if we saw what her skill was in that, or if it was kind of covered up.
Yeah, it actually is. If you fire at someone with and they're in your auxiliary firing arc, you get a bonus focus result added to your total. So, and she can take 2 glitter stim. So she's kind of
that's right.
So she's going to be her backstory. I wouldn't be surprised if in Rebels she's a glitter stim addict.
I don't know. She's pretty young to have glitter stim as an addiction, but who knows these days?
Well, she's gonna have it in X-Wing when she comes out. That's for sure.
Kids these days, man, they get into like glitter stim real early.
Yeah, that's true.
They put it in the paste.
Put it in the paste.
All right. So that's good. I just I wanted to say like favorite characters of the moment, just kind of whatever's rattling around your brain. But good, excellent. So at this point, I think Phil's got a B team.
Watch it, you've got one on your tail! Yes, I can hold it!
No! Yeah, I got a B team ready. So, back when Wave 8 first released, I was looking at a tiny mind link and trying to figure out cool ways to use it. And I think we had one list already that used a tiny mind link, but this one is a little different. It uses a tiny mind link in combination with a few scum upgrades that all focus on getting stress for bonuses. So this is specifically Zuckuss, the overclocked R4 astromech, and inertial dampener. So all 3 of those give you some kind of bonus, but they also give you stress after you're done using the bonus. And overclocked R4 specifically seems really awesome because you can essentially have a ship that is permanently glitter stimmed because of the way the ability works. So overclocked R4 that ability is when you spend a focus token, you can give yourself 1 stress token to get the focus token back. So as long as you're willing to give yourself a stress token, you can always regenerate your focus tokens after you use them.
Yeah,
awesome.
1 point. That never seemed useful, but
yeah, it's only 1 point. Yeah, it's a real cheap astromech because the ability has a built-in drawback. There's another upgrade that sort of works the same way. It's a Zuckuss. Zuckuss crew is a 1 point crew and lets you force your opponent to reroll one of their defense dice, one or more of their defense dice when you're attacking them, and you get 1 stress token for every defense dice that you make them reroll. So if you got both of those upgrades going, you can really pile on stress very quickly on a ship. So it may be important. One way to sort of just go hog wild with those upgrades and not lose your actions at the same time is to use a tiny mind link to continually feed whatever ship you're using those upgrades on, feed it focus tokens, so it can keep using overclocked R4 and keep having focus to keep that reaction going.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have inertial dampeners for a little bit of maneuver modification, since you can decide to pop that after you reveal your maneuver. And those 3 upgrades, I like to put those on Dengar, partly because his ability works really well with the Zuckuss and overclocked R4 upgrades, because you can use those twice if you can get off 2 shots with Dengar. So you can get twice the value out of those upgrades.
Even tonight, I forgot at one point about using Dengar's special ability. I was like, "Oh, dang it! I could have fired back."
Yeah, I mean, it's real important. So the whole build is so there's other stuff on Dengar. So the core is Dengar, Atani Mindlink, Zuckuss, overclocked R4. Inertial dampeners is sort of optional. Punishing 1 title is also really important because you want to have a lot of dice for your attack. It's pretty important. And I also put countermeasures on him. This is instead of traditional large base upgrade is engine upgrade, but it doesn't really make sense in this build since you're never going to have your own action to trigger that. So countermeasures is nice because Dengar is probably going to be the focus of a lot of attacks, and so countermeasures is a 3-point upgrade that you can discard to increase your agility value by 1 and discard 1 enemy target lock. So that makes you defensively tanky for 1 turn.
Yeah, for that 1 turn, you can do it like Glitter Stim, kind of.
Yeah. Ups your survivability pretty well.
Yeah, in fact, you can actually combine it with Glitter Stim if you want.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's essentially what's happening here with overclocked R4. There's 2 other ships in the list. The first one is Peleb Gadali, and he also has a tiny mind link. And the rest of his loadout is Moldy Crow, twin laser turret for some offense, and then there's a crew slot, which I've been putting different things in, but right now it's a tactician, since that works very well with twin laser turret. You can double stress guys with that. And the idea there is that Peleb is going to build up a nice focus stack with Moldy Crow, and he'll always be getting stress from Dengar, but he can always take a green move and usually find a target with his twin laser turret to shoot at, and take a focus action to restart the chain reaction on Dengar by feeding him a focus token when he does that.
Right.
Then the last member on the team is actually Kato Lichos, which you don't see a lot. It's a PS5 Headhunter, and all that he has is a tiny mind link. His special ability is that at the start of the combat phase, you may remove one focus or evade token from another friendly ship at range 1 to 2 and assign it to yourself. So his ability is sort of the last-ditch backup in case you can't generate a focus token either by performing an action with Kato Lichos or Paylob, or you can't. You can also get pass focus tokens around by stealing them from your enemies with Paylob.
Yeah.
But if you can't do either of those, you can always use Kato Lichos, steal one from Paylob.
Right. Who's banking them with the title?
Right. Who should have some from Moldy Crow, and then you can feed one to Dengar with a tiny mind link. So that's the reason that I'm using Kato Lichos in that list.
Excellent. I like it.
So
it's pretty cool.
I flew this a couple times and it performs okay. It's definitely a fun list because you can really, it's great just piling on the stress on Dengar. And I call this list Mind Link to a Madman.
Nice. Very good.
That's pretty cool.
Dengar is just going absolutely nuts with Zuckuss and R4. I've been thinking about... so there's the general theory behind this list also works with other pilots to feed Dengar focus tokens. And in fact, actually, there's a list that's gotten a little bit of notoriety called Dengaroo, I think. And this is a list that actually got to second place in the U.S. Nationals lately.
Oh.
And instead of using MindLink and other ships to feed Dengar focus tokens, what it uses instead is Manaroo, who also flies a Jumpmaster 5000.
Who is Dengar's girlfriend, basically.
Right, yeah. They're made to go with each other.
Hee.
And her ability is that she can transfer all her focus, target lock, and I think evade tokens to another friendly ship. So you can always use her to transfer focus tokens to Dengar. And everything else in the list is very similar. So Dengar is built very much the same way in that list that got second place, which is actually pretty surprising to me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Now, I will say I've actually got a slightly offbeat Dengar build that I've been doing, and I can't remember if I've actually talked about it in the show yet. But it's Dengar with Stay on Target. And then Outlaw Tech as the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And R4 Agromech. So basically, Stay on Target says, you can change, you can rotate your dial to another maneuver of the same speed, but it's red.
Right.
And then Outlaw Tech says, if you do a red maneuver, you get a focus.
Right.
And then R4 Agromech says, if you spend your focus, you get a target lock.
Yeah.
Which you can use right then and there. Thank you, U-boats. So the idea is that basically he goes around focusing when he can, and he moves to where he wants to, and he uses the focus and gets the target lock and all that. But whenever you kind of mess up, like Dengar might be a bit predictable. People are going to expect you to move to the left or straight, not so much right. But it doesn't even matter if let's say you do a 2-speed maneuver, you can change it to that red 2 S loop, Signor's loop, and it's still a red maneuver. And you can change it to that, which no one is expecting you to do anyways. You get there, you've got the the stress, but you get a focus. You can then get a target lock if you spend that focus. So on the attack. So overall, it's kind of like a Dengar if you do, Dengar if you don't.
Like that.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I've been using that like a Karax fighter and 2 Z95s, kind of messing around with that, and I've won 2 games, casual games with it so far, not top tables, but it's but that one particular build with Dengar, it just I don't know, I like it. It's kind of fun. So I like this. I like that. As I said, I would like Dengar. A lot of fun things you can do with him. A lot of interesting things.
Definitely.
I think he's never was a fan of primary weapon turret ships, PWTs as they're called in the forums, or fat turrets. But I like Dengar for some reason. He's different to me. So
yeah, well, he has a built-in ability that makes you want to keep people in arc. That always feels nice.
Yeah,
it's a good turret design theory.
Yep.
I think that's why people don't have such a big problem flying against him. Although you can certainly fly him in the traditional pancake with turret fashion, like the Super Dengar build. That is.
Wait,
like
let me get my inner neck beard. Let's see. How's it take Dengar with push limit and engine upgrade?
And K4 security droid.
K4 security droid and glitter stem.
And the unhinged astromech. Make everything green.
Right. Yes. Right. Yeah. You don't have to, but but right, there we go. All right, so that is our B team, which is excellent. I love B teams. I know a bunch of people like those. I haven't had a lot of time to really mess with things. I've been playing with that one Dengar build, so I appreciate you bringing that up. So we haven't heard from J-Bot lately, and wait, is this his restraining bolt on the floor?
Oh my gosh. Let me see that.
How'd that get there?
Lou, you will go to the Dagobah system.
But I was going into Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
Lou, go to the Dagobah system.
It just isn't fair.
Oh, I don't even know what I'm doing here. We're wasting our time.
Your insight served you well.
Oh, crap.
Oh, no. Oh, boy. We're into it now.
J-Bot, are you there?
Where is he? Is he in the back? Where is he?
Jake,
I don't know what
get
you're talking
the
about.
break.
Okay, I'm going. Where's that gonk droid? He's got all those restraining bolts. I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back.
Droid.
I gotta find the gonk.
J-Bot, how you doing? What's going on?
I'm doing great. I don't understand
Can you
why
get the gonk droid to take your restraining bolt off again?
Why is everybody so worried about that gonk
How's he
droid?
do it?
He's just, he's busy right now.
Guys, I can't get gonk droid to wake up.
He's
Why is he?
a recharge cycle. Don't worry about it. Those negotiations were tough.
Why is his faceplate removed?
I don't know what he likes to do when he goes to bed. Between him and himself there. So a bit of a story. I like to start these little things with stories. My parents are moving. Or not moving. They're doing some stuff with their house. They're having to move a bunch of junk in and out.
Downsizing.
They did. That's the best word. Downsizing. And so in order to do this, they had to, of course, clean out the attic. So that meant me and my brother traveling back home to go through all of the things that they found, which were things from our youth. And I discovered something while I was there, and it made me realize that problems that I had as a kid seem to have followed me into my adulthood. It didn't really seem like a problem as a kid, and for a while it didn't really seem like a problem as an adult. And then the other day, a couple of weeks ago, I'm there at the game store and I'm deciding what I want to play, and I get up, walk around, come back, and that's when it hits me. That's when I see the problem, and that's when I have the great epiphany and I realize what the problem is. And here's the thing. It's not just a problem with X-Wing. Because it came from my youth. Obviously, this was before X-Wing existed. This is a problem with the gaming industry as a whole, with really geekdom as a whole. It is a scourge on all of the things that we love. It follows us, and it's kind of this insidious, beneath the surface. We know it's there, but we just look past it. I've heard it said once that if you leave something in place long enough, it eventually becomes furniture. And the way this was described to me is if I dropped a dead Ewok, let's say, somewhere about the ship and just said, no, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Well, in 2 weeks, you guys wouldn't even notice it. You'd be stepping over it while you had your morning coffee, and you wouldn't even notice it anymore. It'd just be furniture. which, y'all might look around suddenly and notice that there's a lot of furniture in the ship all of a sudden. But
I was wondering where that new shag carpet came from.
Oh, well, yes. The problem I'm discussing or trying to get to here is storage. We all have a problem with storage.
Oh, I do.
What do we do every time we get into a new game system? I think, really, the problem with geekdom is that we don't like games. We don't like board games and miniature games. We like storage. We actually like going to the store and buying things to store other things in. That's it. Like, when I go to Walmart or Target or Bass Pro Shop, I don't necessarily wander into the, clothing or over into the fitness section, God forbid. I wander every time over into bait and tackle. Why do I wander into bait and tackle? I don't fish. But you know what I noticed when I'm walking through the store the other week? It looked like a fisherman's convention in the gaming store. There were more tackle boxes in that place than there were kids playing Magic the Gathering, and that's a big step.
That is.
Quite frankly, I am under the belief that if we all, as a group, as a geekdom, as a community, decided we're not going to buy tackle boxes anymore, Plano would go out of business because we're propping up their bottom line with all of these plastic tackle boxes we buy. I stumbled upon a fishing show not long ago. And this dude's an expert. He's got a shirt with his name and a company name and all this other crap on it, like $100,000 boat. You know how big his tackle box was? It's like the size of a woman's purse. It's just a little bitty thing. So what do they need these giant 50-pound tackle boxes for? They don't. They make those for us. They're not telling you they're making them for us, but they're making them for us.
You know how you can really tell? You can tell by the Amazon, other things people have bought when they've used this item.
Absolutely.
That's true.
You go on there and it's like, fishing tackle. Other people have looked at fishing tackle box, fishing tackle box, fishing tackle box, army paint. That's a little odd.
X-wing miniature expansion.
Exactly.
Y-wing expansion. TIE
that's
fighters.
what I'm getting at. That's the problem.
Oh boy.
This is such an insidious problem. We've got companies that, you know what they do? All they do is storage for us. Every time a ship comes out, suddenly within a day or two, there's a custom laser cut foam insert for your box system to throw out there. These people are crazier than Ron Popeil. They're crazier than, the ShamWow dude with how fast they get stuff to our door. I'm willing to bet right now that if you looked on one of these fancy bag shops, they have a 3 U-boat foam tray so that you can have your latest tournament list out there. They probably know more.
Standard.
Yeah, that's just like probably a standard option. That's going there. Yep, I got a Pal Paces list. Bloop, and it just puts it into my box, and I'm ready to go. I think those people probably know more about the game than we do. I mean, that's. And you know how bad this has gotten? Because when I was a kid, this is what I found. I'm going through the attic, and I found a shoebox. It was a shoebox filled with old baseball cards and things like that. That was the kind of genesis of our storage problem. It was a shoebox, right? I mean, I think we've all saved shoeboxes to put junk into.
Yeah.
You know how bad storage has gotten? I went onto one of these sites the other day, and I'm not going to name names. They had an economy version. If you weren't prepared to pay the hundreds of dollars and exorbitant fees for their fancy, collapsible cases with foam inserts and laser cut this, that, and the other, they had an economy section. A cheap version for all of you. You know, you want to know what those were? Cardboard boxes. They're cardboard boxes, people. Why are we paying an arm and a leg for a cardboard box? I could go to my local ABC store and get a cardboard box. Why am I spending a bunch of money on a cardboard box that's got a foam insert in it? What happened to the days of eggshell foam? You know that crap you put on your mattress that doesn't actually...
Oh, no.
What happened to those?
I bought one of those.
Yeah, when I moved into my house... my first house. When I moved into my first house, my neighbors probably thought I was one of those crazy people because I had so many gun cases I was carrying into my house, and they weren't filled with rifles and all this crazy stuff. They were filled with figures because that was the most economic way to buy phones.
Oh my God!
Back when I was younger, it was a rifle case. I went to the store, I paid $20 for a rifle case, and I could carry an entire company of Space Marines in that thing. And $20 won't even get you one layer of fancy foam from the place.
No.
Oh, so $10 from Walmart, you can get the eggshell.
Yeah. And that's the trick. Like, hey, why don't we go back to our roots, people? Oh, I was doing the math the other day. For how much you spend trying to protect your X-Wing figures, you'd be better off going back to a shoebox. And if you break one, just go buy another of that X-Wing figure, because you could spend $200 to protect it, or you could save $150 and just buy another one if you happen to break the thing. I'm thinking you should just go back to our roots, and if you need to carry something, just get a box. Throw some eggshell in there if you're really concerned about it. But can we please get away from the storage? Or at the very least, could people, stay away from tackle boxes, or at least the tackle box that I've got, so I can find mine when I walk into the store, because I've had to put stickers all over mine now just so I could tell which one's mine, because we've all got the same one. Or this is my last idea. Maybe, just maybe, if anybody from Plano's listening, maybe possibly sponsor the show, and we'll show off how awesome your tackle boxes are for storing all of our X-Wing stuff, and kill two birds with one stone. But that's really what kind of made me mad, and it's amazing to see the state of our. It's not just X-Wing. They have a whole company out there that sells little wooden inserts for your existing box. So I go out and I buy a box board game for like $100 or $80, and I can spend $40 that gets me a little wooden insert that goes inside of that existing box that helps me put all of my parts to that game back in the box. What do I need the insert for? Everything came in the box originally. Why do I need an insert when it should go back in the box the same way it came out? But Lord help us, they must be doing something right, because we're spending money on it. So I think our problem isn't that we like games, it's that we like storage. Let's be honest. We just like to store things. So, but maybe that's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong.
Oh, you see, I think we're delving into a Captain's Crafty Corner section here, because I have a wife who likes things organized and tidy, and I am not. In fact, I'm looking right now at my hobby desk for my Warhammer days, and I'm looking at pure and utter chaos of paints and sand and containers and crap everywhere, and she's constantly making me purge and reorganize. But I am someone who loves to save money, and I'm telling you, $10 for that egg foam, and then you can go to the plastic section and get a container, and you can put layer by layer. You can just use scissors and cut that dang bedroll up. I've got half a bedroll in the garage. I'm just waiting for the next thing to use it for.
Yeah, pro tip on that stuff. What you actually want to do is get you a really sharp razor blade and get you like a really good, I say metal, but I've got, like a straight edge, like a level. And you smush the foam down so it's like real tight against whatever you're laid on, like a table, and then you can cut that thing with a razor blade like real easy. I may or may not have done that in the past recently, but yes, that stuff's great. I don't know how much it is, but for what we use, I mean, come on, X-Wing, you can even carve it if you really want to get fancy. I saw one of the guys there at the shop today. He'd carved his like little holes out for his TIE fighters and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That's cool. He didn't go out and spend money on it, and he knows who he is. He listens to the show, and I make fun of it every time, but I'm really just jealous. He's got a briefcase, and I'm like, that's so freaking cool. He's got a briefcase, just there it is, and I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. Like, that's somebody thinking outside the box, pardon the pun, and actually reusing things instead of spending a fortune on storage.
Well, it's like, okay, there are many game systems, including some made by Games Workshop, where people paint their minis and spend hours on one mini. And I understand if you want foam, to fit these guys in. But when you've got pre-painted plastic minis, like for X-Wing, like I find X-Wing is one of those games where you want to play and you buy a lot more than you originally intend. The mistakes were made cartoon. And, and soon you're outgrown whatever original idea. And if you're using foam, it's $10-15 a tray. Never mind the bags or boxes that it comes in, because there's cardboard box companies too. And
same company, you'd be surprised.
No, there's actually several different because there's several companies, and one of them. Anyways.
Oh no, yeah, no doubt. There's multiple companies that sprung up. This is a big market, people. Big
but
market, obviously.
Some started the whole cardboard thing first, but X-Wing is one of those things. I get the Plano trays, and I just cram my stuff in, and I put the ships on the pegs on the stands, and I put them in the Plano tray. And I've been playing since Wave 1, and I've had maybe like 3 things break in that whole time, and from possibly batting around, and I think actually might have been me dropping or smashing them. But like my Plano tray is amazing, and it's funny. People from other countries are like, "Oh, we don't have Plano here. Plano is shipping on Amazon so much for Plano. It costs amazing here." But don't you have? What do you guys use for tackle boxes in your country? Whatever country it is,
maybe whether they don't fish in other.
It's not sophisticated technology.
Okay, the UK
it is not. It is like the simplest. I mean, it's. I hate to say this. It's a redneck technology. I mean, come on. It's a toolbox. It's what this is. It's a toolbox.
But people in Britain are complaining, and come on, there's a million fishermen in Britain. But like no matter what your country is, whether it's Slovakia, you've got to have some sort of cheap tackle box technology usable for people, just like use that. That's all it is. That's Plano. It's not like some magical stuff. It's just whatever your tackle box stuff is in your country. Look at that crap and then use that instead. So
this takes a little outside the box. Sorry, thinking for the tackle box is a thing that's funny to me. Is I don't know, how did it start? Like, was there that one guy who said, you know what, I used to fish. I could probably reuse this thing. And he shows up at the store, and the next guy's like, "Oh, that's an awesome idea, but I've never fished." So he goes by and
spreads like a virus.
Yeah, it is literally true that we've got at least half a dozen people that come to our game night that have the exact same case as me. And at this point, I can't tell if I got the idea from one of them, or if they got the idea from me, or if it was just kind of an all hive mind thing. We all happened to run across it at the store.
Well,
but
I can tell you,
it is a little annoying when you can't find your case and all these, a luggage rack of tackle boxes that are sitting there.
I got the tall Plano, the bigger one, because that was back from the Warhammer days. Because people had Plano boxes, that was what it was. And I've got one of the tall, big 1374s or something. And I used to fit my Raider my CR90 in the top of the Plano tray. This is a pretty big thing. It's got 4 racks. And at this point, I am really hurting for storage because I could find these Plano trays that can hold the epic ships, but I don't have anything that holds those particular trays. They don't make a box for it. So I've actually got a container that holds my 2 trays for the epic. Then I've got my whole big giant Plano for all my small based and tokens and cards and everything. And I've got a whole tackle box just for my large based ships and other spare tokens and energy and epic stuff. And I've got and that's including my map. I've got basically, if I want to carry it all, 3 boxes of crap I'm carrying around, and even my cards.
That's why I'm here. It's a problem. Yeah. You've got a problem. I'm glad you've admitted it finally. And this is what we're here for, is to help you help yourself, really. And that's just get away from it, Jim. Or go the route that some people do and just get a cart, Have you ever watched those war gamers come in on the weekend? Those guys are trucking stuff in there, like they're delivering Christmas presents. It's just cart after cart after cart of stuff. You don't want to be one of those guys. I mean, yeah, it's cool, but X-Wing shouldn't require that. It doesn't need that
J-Bot,
much
you don't want me to get to minimalize, because where are you going to get all your extra bonus crap? Because
that's true.
I'm the one that has all of it.
That's true. The only way we can play heroes is if he shows up with all of his TIE fighters, because I've got 4. So it doesn't work that well. Just bases with no actual ships on them moving around on the board, because I don't have a bunch of TIE fighters. So
we ran into a mission where basically you have to use the Rebel transport. It's like the one epic ship I don't have. And I'm like, curses, I need to go buy it. So I'm thinking, though, if I get these large trays from Plano that hold the epic ships, I've got a spare one, and I think if I can fit all my large base ships into that, which I think is possible, and I get a cheap duffel bag that can hold these 3 trays, I can actually narrow it down to 2 bags, or 2 containers, plus my map that I'm carrying, which my map I bought for $1 free shipping, a yoga mat strap that I have duct taped to my cardboard box that holds my FFG, mat, so I can put it over my shoulder.
He's so cheap. There's one of the guys there who had a great idea, and he actually uses a PVC pipe with the end caps on it for his maps. He's got 2 or 3 maps at least, and I was like, that's a great idea. And Jim saw it, was like, oh, it's a great idea. And next week he comes in, he's got the original Fantasy Flight cardboard square box with his map in it, but he's got his little jury rigged strap on it. I'm just shaking my head. It's just horrible.
And my teenage daughter was like, why do you have that? It looks so terrible. Why don't you just make 2 trips? And I'm like, 2 trips? Okay, so like
it was 98 degrees outside. I didn't want to make one trip. What's wrong with you people?
All the way from then up and down my house and all that. And here I come in tonight and I've got like a thing on my shoulder. I've got this. I've got like so much crap in my hands. I'm like, but it's 1 trip. I'm like, that is worth it. Like in your face. Yes. So and we can talk about storage probably for a whole show, so we could I'll probably drop this because there's a lot of storage discussion. It might be our next.
Yeah, we might need a whole separate podcast just to go into storage.
Yeah,
it really is its own kind of niche in the gaming world. Is how do you store your stuff?
Storage. Yeah.
But if you're looking in this foam, you're spending $100 at least. Xbox or X-Wing.
Oh yeah. And their stuff's great. I do have some of it for like. As you mentioned, some of the actual miniature tabletop games that stuff's painted. Absolutely. Stuff's great. But for X-Wing.
Good storage is like an art, though. It's not just about, fitting all your stuff in the boxes and not having it break. Good storage, there's like a zen of storage, right? Where you have... where you can not only store all your things efficiently and safely, but also like minimize the amount of work that you have to do to get a ship on the table.
Yeah.
So like things like instead of putting all your dials all in the same tray in like a big line, or even putting them in the same area but like organizing them by different ships. What I do instead is I have my ships. So I use like a Plano tray, and I have little like foam inserts that I've cut out of like foam that I found on the street or whatever.
Street foam.
Like, street foam.
Foam.
You're robbing from the hobos.
Manhattan.
From the hobos.
I'm starting to wonder if we need to come up with our own line of stuff.
You stole my pillow.
So I have my ship there in the foam, and then next to the ship, I have all the cardboard inserts that go into the ship's base, and then I have the dials that go with that ship, like right next to the ship that it works with. And that way, you don't have to go fishing for the right pilot insert for your base. You don't have to go fishing for your dial. It's all right there, and you can find things really easily.
I'll say I will put in my Plano tackle box, I will put my ships on the pegs, on the base, in a slot, and put the dial in the same container as the ship.
Yeah.
And nothing breaks, and it fits in, and I can pop it all out. I may have to change the cardboard tile, particularly when you got like TIE fighters. There's no way you can fit all the TIE fighters into one little thing with it. But
yeah, but I mean, I guess as my final thought on this thing is, it's become ludicrous. It's gotten to the point of it's a Russian nesting doll version of these things. We've got, you open your case and you pull out your case that holds your cards, and you open your case that holds your cards, and you got the little sleeves that hold your cards inside of it. So you got 3 levels of storage. 3 levels of storage for your cards. I mean,
and the whole thing, I played Magic the Gathering.
I get it.
Binders and all that with the cards too.
I think we've taken it too far. For people. I mean, these cards are not worth anything. Maybe a couple of them are to crazy people, but they're not worth anything. Why are we spending so much money to protect them?
Yeah, all my card sleeves and everything. Yeah. Oh, there's a product I found for upgrade cards from the Broken Token, and I wanted to review, but I'm actually reached out to them to see if they would actually give us one that uses a contest to kind of give away to a user. So, Broken Token, if you're listening, we'll talk all about your product. and we'll
or Plano. Don't forget Plano.
Yeah.
We'll
certainly
give
anybody.
Plano away if we ever get any Plano.
Anyone.
Like a J-Bot box. That would be real cool.
Anyone out there who is involved with the company or runs a company or whatever, remember that we can be bought with free products really easily.
We will review your product if you send us something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be
very
one of those
honest.
people who says,
very honest.
Yeah, I'm not going to be one of those people who says we're unbiased and fair. No, you pay me, you get whatever you want. We are biased and unfair in every way, shape, or form, but only if the checks keep coming. That's all that matters.
Excellent. All right.
Well, hey, just so you know, I found a spare restraining bolt,
oh, good,
and
good.
I don't know what it was doing inside that Ewok carcass, nor did I realize that there was any carcasses left on the ship. I really thought I cleared them out. How did you manage to sneak one back on board, J-Bot? I don't know.
Like I said, furniture.
I did. It's amazing. I thought it was this couch this whole time, and lo and behold, under the cushions, which
Are you talking about the new couch?
Yeah.
Ow.
Those. Hey, Phil, those are not cushions. Be careful.
Oh, that's what
Plain
that smell
sight.
was.
Hiding in plain sight.
All right, let me just put that restraining bolt back on.
I thought that was my. I thought that smell was my fish lunch. Damn it.
Right. All
Enough
right.
breeze and you can't tell the difference between a carcass. It's just an old couch.
All right. So moving along from the Ewok carcasses, we could probably continue on with the discussion of the heroes of the Aturi cluster, or you ever see it typed capital H, lowercase O-T, uppercase A-C. So
HotAC.
You're curious. HotAC.
Hot AC. That's what we've got.
Hot AC.
Oh, yeah, hot AC.
Yeah, hot AC. Whew.
So we're going to talk about the AI, right?
Yes. Now, I will say that I thought, and everyone I talked to about this, and who's tried this and played this, expected this AI to suck.
Yeah.
And have been quite surprised that it doesn't.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before, but that's one of the major selling points of the AI, is that it doesn't really suck. It can be surprising. It's not entirely predictable, and there's also often like baked-in bonuses for the ships that make them more powerful than
Yes.
they might otherwise be.
Yes. I will say that even J-Bot and Jason have talked about the next tournament they go to, if they go to one, they want to bring AI cards from Heroes of the Aturi cluster.
I'm prepared to run that at a tournament because here's the way I look at this. This is my theory. If I take an Imperial list, and I don't really have Imperials, but if I take an Imperial list and just run them with the AI, if I lose every game, it's still hilariously funny. But if I win one game, that person that lost to me and my, stolen AI from HotAC, they'll never be able to live it down. Ever.
That would be awesome. I have to say.
Welcome to casual, because you're never going to take any respect on the tournament scene. You got to beat
that is amazing.
Casual AI. So
that's amazing.
I think it would be hilarious. I think it would be funny. And it really is at times so unpredictable that it would just catch people like, what? Why would he K-turn right in front of me? No one would ever do that. And bing, perfect.
Right. I've been so blocked and stuff. And like tonight we played, and there was a squadron of X-Wings, and instead of them coming at us through a bunch of asteroids, they kind of ended up rolling weird, and they went straight. And they kind of went around the asteroids. And sure, it took them like a round or two. But when they came in, right when the reinforcements came in, man, there was a rough round when suddenly everything had us. Like we were utterly surrounded. It was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, every time I'd look back, I'm like, what are those doing? They're like, I don't know. It just rolls. And they just kind of moseyed like on a parade ground route around the edge of the board. And it took them like 4 turns to even come back around to our side. And when they got there, they just hit at the perfect time. So the reinforcements and them just pincered us. We're like, what happened? How did this happen? We didn't. How did we not foresee this? It was pretty ugly, and we barely survived. But it's fun, and that's where the AI is really critical to the game.
Yeah, the AI is really so important to HotAC because it's really what lets you play as a co-op. Play the campaign as co-op. I mean, without the AI, you would have to have somebody being like a game master or something controlling the TIE fighters the whole time, and that's just not as fun. It's always pain in the butt being game master, I think.
I did have a fan actually reach out to me because Descent, which is also by FFG, is like that, where someone plays the game master in kind of a board game version of Dungeons and Dragons, and they also Imperial Assault is kind of the Star Wars version of that, you know. And so someone talked about actually doing that for various missions and stuff. So I guess
the thing is,
Fantasy
Flight actually just released a free app, and I do seem to be plugging them a lot, but Fantasy Flight just came out with a free app for Descent that runs it as a full co-op campaign now.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it basically takes the place of the GM, and I downloaded it and was like, wow, okay. I mean, it's still kind of simple, but at the same time, it's like, oh, that's great. Now you got all this Descent stuff that's become co-op, and my personal gaming group loves co-op games because you're not playing like 4 people against 1. And the kind of HotAC, that's what's great about it, is it's not one guy running the Imperials while everybody gangs up on them. It's everybody trying to survive against these, in a lot of ways, overwhelming odds. And we've heard from people who say that it seems unfair, and it doesn't seem very balanced. But in every game we've had, it's been balanced, surprisingly so when we first ran into it.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about specifically how the AI works, because there may be people out there who are thinking about playing HotAC and or maybe a little turned off by AI still. So let's try to demystify how the AI works a little bit, since it's such a core mechanic of the campaign.
And we still got things wrong quite a bit. So.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there are certainly a couple of tricky things that have to do with board edges and obstacles that are, to me, seem like the hardest concepts to kind of understand and adapt to.
Right. So the way AI works is TIE fighters or other ships will appear on the game board either at the start of the game, or they'll appear as reinforcements later on in your mission. And they typically arrive in groups of like 2 or more ships, especially if you're talking about TIE fighters. And they start off in these formations, which is a sort of a box shape, right? A very simple formation.
And just to let you know, the number of ships that show up in each squad is based on the number of players.
Right. So it scales depending on how many ships you have, and also what your average skill level is. So how powerful your ships are going to be.
So if you're playing with 6 people, you're gonna have a lot more in each squad. So people are gonna get shot down. Just
right. So these ships, they show up in a formation, and all the ships in that formation are going to take the same maneuver as long as they're still in that formation. And a few different things can break them up out of formation, but we'll get to that. So the way you select your, one of the first things you do with an AI is select your maneuver. And the way that this happens is you have a little AI stat card. And this has a diagram with a picture of the ship and different facings. So there's like a front facing, rear facing, side facing, and then sort of diagonal facings also. So there's in all, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4,
8,
5, 6, 7, 8 zones. Yeah, 8 zones.
So basically, if you're looking at a compass, besides north, south, east, west, you also have northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest.
Right. And depending on where the closest ship is, closest like enemy ship is, and whether it's in arc or not, the AI is going to choose one of these facings to select its maneuver from. And on top of that, it's going to decide whether you're sort of on a approach or running or moving away from it, or if you're like far away or close, it has like 2 sets of maneuvers for each of these facings that it chooses from, depending on whether you're far away or close, or if you're in between, whether you're moving towards that ship or away from that ship. And depending on those, it's going to classify you as like as falling into one of these 2 categories. And then once you've decided where the target is, and so which facing and which zone of that facing, you roll a d6, and the result will tell you your maneuver. So for example, if you're in front of a TIE fighter and you're at range 3 or greater, then that TIE fighter puts you in its front zone far away. And if you roll a 1, 2, or 3, it's going to move a 5 straight. If you roll a 4 or 5, it's going to move a 4 straight. And if you roll a 6, it's going to go 3 straight. So like the most likely maneuver that the TIE fighter is going to take is a 5 straight.
And just to say that there's kind of like a red zone and a green zone for the different TIE fighter, or for different AIs. And it kind of means, red is range 1, green is range 2 or 3, but then it kind of depends if it's range 2, or is it range 2 going away from you?
Yeah, closing or fleeing, I think, is the terminology.
Right, and so it could either be one of those, depending on which direction the opponent's going in. So it kind of adds a bit of variety to this, and it does make sense, and it does work out. Even if at first you're kind of confused, it actually does work out overall.
Right. So these maneuvers are sort of tailored to try and put you in the TIE fighter's firing arc after the maneuver is over. So after you've done all that and made your maneuver, then it's time for the AI to select an action, and it sort of has a
like a logic
list
tree
of options. Yeah, sort of a logic tree where it tries to do different things, and if it depending on the situation, it'll make a choice. So if you're in the firing arc and within firing range of a TIE fighter after it moves, then it's going to do a focus token.
Or
it's
actually,
going to take a focus.
Even before that, it'll say, like, if you're stressed, you just clear the stress, and you get no action. Or if you have a critical hit, you clear the critical hit, and that's your action. And then besides that, then it'll say, let's say there's no shot, if it can barrel roll to get into a shot, it'll barrel roll to get into a shot, to get a shot at anyone.
Right. And if it's in an enemy firing arc, it might try to barrel roll to avoid the firing arc and keep a target within its own firing arc. So if it's like in front of one of your ships and it has another one of your ships in its firing arc, it might try to barrel roll out of the firing arc of the ship behind it, is so long as it can still keep the ship in front of it within its firing arc. So as long as it can keep its own shot, it'll try to protect itself by barrel rolling, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. But one of the things I really like about that kind of logic tree is that once you move past the basic TIE fighter, you actually get the specialty ships, and they can get free actions that basically says, oh, every turn, TIE bomber, it gets a free target lock. It just at the closest, its main target, it gets a target lock. It still goes through it and clears stress, or gets a focus and these other things, but boom, it gets a free target lock. Or interceptors get a free focus. And a lot of these specialty ships end up getting some action economy, and some, even no matter what the situation is, some bonus actions that make it, that kind of boost the AI. So the AI can only do so much. And to kind of compensate that how cool a TIE fighter is, or a TIE defender, or a TIE bomber, or a shuttle, over that, they get free actions each turn to kind of boost it. And, it's cheating, but it makes those things actually work. And it makes, like, oh crap, there's a TIE interceptor, or that TIE bomber with its payload coming at you. That's nasty. And you're like, oh, free focus. Or he gets a free target lock and a free focus, and it fires its assault missile at you, and you're all shaking in your boots. So
I think it's important
for people who are kind of coming into this new to understand, the ships are not following the exact rules of X-Wing. They're getting things that you aren't legally allowed to. They don't have crazy upgrade cards that are suddenly giving them target locks and focuses. They are getting those as a way to kind of balance the AI against players' movements. And it is frightening. Some of that stuff is very frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another way that they sort of cheat is how they deal with stress and red maneuvers. So if they get a red maneuver, if they perform a red maneuver, they still get a stress token, and they skip their action selection phase. But if a AI ship has a stress token, and then its AI selects a red maneuver, it can still do that maneuver. It's not like if a human plotted their dial with a red maneuver when they have a stress token. In that situation, the opponent picks the dial. That doesn't happen with an AI. The AI still gets to do that move. And the way that they actually deal with stress isn't through green moves. It's actually through actions. So if you have a stress token as an AI ship and you do a white maneuver, then you can sort of use your action to remove a stress token, as opposed to the way that a player's ship would remove stress with a green maneuver.
The next turn. So even like you do a red maneuver, you get the stress, so you just remove it that turn.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. The AI skips its action selection when it does red moves.
Right.
So it won't get an action on the turn that it does a red maneuver. It'll still get the stress. And then the next time it does a white maneuver, it can use an action to remove the stress token.
Okay, so even I've been playing that portion.
God, really?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Note to Jim.
Right. That's why when I started playing this, I was like, please, other people print out the rules, read the rules, don't trust just me. Please. I don't get it wrong.
Like after you've read them 2 or 3 times and you start getting comfortable, you get comfortable with your mistakes and your oversights. And you don't realize that you're making a mistake. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that I'm getting wrong here too.
Yeah.
And the AI like maneuvers are different for every Imperial ship. So, for example, they have the Decimator doesn't have any red moves. I'm looking at, and it won't necessarily try to keep its target in its front arc with its maneuver because it has a turret. That's sort of the AI knows that and isn't trying real hard to put you in its arc.
Well, I will say that one of the things that's nasty about the AI is the fact that they fly in squadrons until the squadrons break up. But but they pick, as a squadron, they pick whoever is closest to their front arc. And that's what they react to that. So they react to that ship and they move around. And then when it comes time to shooting, they pick the person who's closest in their front arc to fire at. And so if you've got a squadron of TIE fighters that are all moving and they all happen to get you at range 1 or range 2, and they all have like a focus action, they're going to rip you to shreds. Like they're all firing at just you. And if you get in front of like a couple of these formations, and then they're gonna pick like one person, they're gonna focus fire on that guy, and that these formations fly around and they'll focus fire at certain people. And I think one time we talked about Jason, and I was rolling for the TIE fighters, unfortunately, and I didn't miss once, and a full B-wing got blasted to pieces in one round.
Oh yeah. Jeez. Oh yeah. Don't underestimate those Imperials, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned breaking up out of formations. We should probably talk about that a little bit. So one of the ways that TIE fighters can break formation is if the planned maneuver lands them on an obstacle or takes them off a board edge. And when that happens, they can actually change their maneuver after it's already been selected. So, for example, if you have a TIE fighter that rolls a 3 straight and lands on an asteroid, what happens is you use the swerve ability in the AI, and the AI will choose the closest speed maneuver that's 45 degrees adjusted towards your target. So, for example, if you're doing that 3 straight onto a rock, the swerve will give you a 3 bank maneuver, and it'll take that maneuver in the direction of the target. So if your X-wing is on the left-hand side of the TIE fighter, it's going to bank to the left to sort of try and keep you in arc a little better.
You know, that really messed me up tonight. I had some TIE fighter that ended up rolling. It was going to go on an asteroid, and ended up turning a bank into a hard turn, and totally blocked me. I was getting ready to launch a torpedo at someone and light them up, and I had to bump, and I didn't get the target lock, and I was so frustrated by that.
Yeah. And actually, when they're about to go off the board, I think that they actually get sort of an improved version of Swerve, where they actually can take any maneuver that keeps them on the board. It's actually a little different than Swerve. So it's really hard to actually get a AI ship to fly off the board.
Right, and so that's one thing where, like, if they're flying in formation and suddenly one person's going to hit an asteroid and they swerve, now the formation is broken up and they all go individually. There's also, if one of those ships takes damage from any source, let's say one guy gets shot or ionized or something, then suddenly out of that formation you have to roll for each individual TIE fighter and what they're doing.
Yeah, it makes the game a little harder on you. But no, it's a good system that they've baked into the AI, because otherwise it might be easy for players to draw enemy ships over the obstacles in the game and take advantage of them.
Right.
For being AI, and sort of game the AI that way.
Yeah, and there's no fun in that.
And they're still based on whoever's closest. So let's say the formation breaks up and you're still the guy in the front. They all roll individually, so they're all going to be doing something different while still chasing you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's actually something that I wanted to talk about. The rule book talks about it pretty much tells you not to try to game the AI, to resist the temptation to game the AI. Now, I was wondering, it's what you guys think constitutes gaming the AI. So, like, let me give you a scenario.
We game it.
You game it?
I don't think that we do. I don't think that we do. Like, I think what he's speaking to is, like, okay, they're at this angle from us. This is their rack of maneuvers. Like, I think what we do is what any player at X-Wing does, is you look at the kind of relative position of the ships, and you're like, okay, well, that we know that they're coming in to attack. They're going to move this direction. We don't know how fast. There's a chance we know from having played now, there's a chance they could do something silly. And we take into account that to a degree, but we don't kind of go ship by ship.
Well,
okay, this one's at this range. It's going to get here in this kind of angle.
If someone asks me, well, what are their options? What are their choices? I'll tell them. I'll look at the card and go, oh, well, they get either this, or this.
But I see that as no different than saying, I mean, there's people out there who keep dials, or on their phone for dials for their opponent's ships. I mean, like, okay, here's what my opponent can do with his ship.
I think that's totally fine to look at the, to know what ship maneuvers are possible for an opponent's dial, but to know what their likely maneuvers are, imagine if you could force your opponent to write down the maneuver that they had plotted, and then 3 other maneuvers on a piece of paper, and then hand that to you.
Yeah,
that would be
that's a little bit more specific, but like I said, I don't think we do. I think there's definitely more more
do.
to it than well, you
We
maybe
do
you
on
do.
occasion.
I don't normally have the dial in front of me. I'm normally just saying I think they're going to move here and
True.
that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I think that gaming the AI, ways to game the AI would be, I think that looking specifically at their maneuvers, and especially if you're trying to guess their maneuver based on the probability of that maneuver, like from the die roll. So, for example, with the original example I gave with a TIE fighter with a target in its front arc at range 3+, if you look at that and look at how the die rolls break down as to what maneuver it's going to take, then you can look at that and say there's a 50% chance that it's going to move 5 straight. There's a 1 in 3 chance that it moves 4 straight, and a 1 in 6 chance that it moves a 3 straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you could look at that, say the most likely move is a 5 straight, and then plan your maneuver as though that TIE fighter is going to take a 5 straight.
Right.
And I think that is definitely gaming the AI.
Well, let me ask you this then, because that brings up a really interesting question. Phil, when you and I play this campaign, you basically do the AIs. And so I'm at home on my computer, and I don't even have the sheet open. So for me, I really like to keep it a complete surprise, and it does really feel as if I'm playing another, like playing some real Academy pilot from the Imperial Navy. But the only quote unquote gaming that I've ever done is just the knowledge of, okay, if I can get past that fighter's arc, like if I can get behind it so that he's shooting at a different ship, or he's not targeting me because I only got one hole left. If I can get past him so you're in his primary firing arc, then I know he's probably going to go after you. That's the heaviest quote unquote gaming I've done for the AI. But even that I feel is more intuitive, like,
Right.
Okay, I got to get out of the arc kind of a thing. But anyway, back to my question. How much do you think, since you're the one that has the book open, like, do you feel that you game the AI a lot, or do you feel like you kind of go with the flow and play the game more so?
I think what I usually do is I just don't pay attention to I don't pay attention to the probabilities of the die rolls, and I don't pay attention to what moves that are possible, strictly speaking.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm trying to fly, I just and when I'm flying my ship on the table, I do sort of think that, okay, if I'm to the right of a TIE fighter,
mm-hmm.
then the TIE fighter is probably going to come at me, right?
Right.
And I think that's fine. I think it's just not okay when you're looking at it and saying, okay, 4, 5, 6 on a 4, 5, or 6, it's doing a hard 2, so it's probably going to end up with a hard 2. So why don't I, move to block it or whatever,
Yeah.
Or look at all the possible moves and plot your moves so that none of those work.
Right.
All right, now you're going to make me feel guilty. All right. And we play with different people. So J-Bite and I will shift who we play with. And so some people don't ask, but some certain people do. They're like, well, what are the possibilities? Where do you think it'll go? Where is it going to end up? So, yeah.
Right. I hear you.
I think it's just kind of intuitive. I mean, you're going to do it as an X-Wing player anyway. You're going to kind of just by your nature as a player. I think it's going to, or it should go right. You're expecting, just like any opponent. I mean, I expect he's going to do this because he wants to get me an arc. There's very few times that the AI doing something that some of your opponents will do, which is, I'm going to cut and run. Like, the AI doesn't cut and run and try and get away and come for a second pass. It tends to just, once it gets on you, it's like a hornet. It's just going to circle you and try and stay as close as it can to you. So there are times where it's a little bit different than playing an opponent. But in general, it's gonna take a move that tends to try and keep you in its arc, and there's nothing to me wrong with expecting that.
True. Yeah, I think it's totally fine to try and intuitively anticipate what the AI is going to do. I think that is just not. I think it crosses a line once you start working out all the possibilities and the most likely possibilities based on the breakdown of the die results and the available maneuvers.
Right. Yeah, I agree, and I think it adds a little bit more to the challenge if you're kind of going a little more in quote unquote blindly, and then just using your intuition, like J-Bot was saying. Like, you're an X-wing player, you are going to have some pretty good instincts on what you want to do and how you want to evade and who you want to attack. So I think it'll all work out, and it'll actually be a pretty challenging fight.
I will say, even just as someone who has occasionally looked at the dial of the opponent, it still is a challenge. It's still,
it's still challenging. You are correct.
Yeah. So it's not like even looking is breaking the game. I mean, yes, it's makes something a little easier, but it's still hard.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where the unpredictable nature, that die roll does do strange things. Oh, it's going to always go right. It's going to always go right. Well, then every once in a while it just randomly does a K-turn, and you're like, well, I thought it was going to go right, and now it's right in my way. Like, all of my planned moves. And at least at the lower levels, everything going on a 1, but the pilot skill 1 means they get in your way a lot. I mean, they cluster up and bump all over the place, and they really cause a nightmare for you because of the low pilot skill and just kind of buzzing around like gnats getting in your way.
Tonight I was bumping all over the place. It was so aggravating. I was the highest pilot skill guy, and I just my own teammates or everyone I just couldn't move anywhere. I kept bumping. It was aggravating. In fact, if I had done that first K turn, that first turn, or that second turn like I expected, you guys talked me out of it. I would have been in a great position the rest of the game if I had just done it myself and not listened to you guys.
You were the squad leader. You should have commanded this. I didn't bump a single person the whole night. So
yeah, peer pressure, I guess.
That's right. You caved.
I caved.
That's not a very good squad leader there.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't act decisively. Yep. All right. Do we have more we want to go into about the AI? I mean, I know we can go more about Heroes of the Turi Cluster, HotAC, or HotAC.
Take your pick.
Right. Other episodes.
Let's see. Is there... Oh, there is one other thing that I want to talk about. One of the features of the AI is that they have different logic settings depending on the mission and the squad of AI ships in the mission. So, for example, one of the missions is you're trying to capture an Imperial officer in a Lambda shuttle.
Yeah.
And the Lambda shuttle starts on the board with a couple of TIE fighters, and those TIE fighters don't have the normal AI where they're trying to just come at you and attack you. They're actually going to try and use their actions to protect the shuttle. So they get a protect action. They can put evade tokens on the shuttle instead of taking focus actions. Let me see if I can actually pull up the that AI program. There's actually there's like a bunch of AIs. So they have Strike AI, which is the that AI ship always has one specific target. So no matter if there's a different if there's like a closer ship in its firing arc, or something like some other easier target, it's always going to go after one specific target. So there might be a ship that you're trying to protect, for example, and they'll always try and make an attack on that. And if they can't make an attack on that, only then will they attack something else. Or if they have a range 1 attack on something else, apparently.
Oh yeah, being focused on one particular target. And there's different missions and such where, like we did, where you're trying to get a defector and a TIE defender, and there's a squadron of 3 TIE defenders, and you finally figure out which one's yours. The defector, suddenly the target priority of the rest of the squad is on that TIE defender, and they're going to go after that ship, no matter what else. They're just going to go for it.
Right. So let's see. There's also Flea AI. So this might be. So if I can just go back to the same example with the mission where you're trying to capture a Lambda shuttle. Once the shuttle's shields are down, I think its AI changes to a Flea AI, and it tries to run away from the battle.
And
and
does it run? Does
yeah.
it run?
And it tries to escape off a board edge. So it uses the nearest point of that board edge as their target, and always uses the fastest speed for the selected bearing of that maneuver. So they try to make best possible speed for the board edge, and ignore you in terms of choosing their target. And then there's Escort AI, which I already talked about. The only difference with Escort AI from normal AI is that if their escort target is within range 1, then they'll use the protect action to give it an evade token.
You know, I forgot to mention there was something else. There's a product by a company in Germany. I ordered some templates with these really cool pictures and graphics all on the templates as opposed to these monochromatic ones I could find in the US. I guess they were very similar to the Greenman design ones, but actually came out before Greenman designs and actually ship if you order them. Which I hear some people who did the Kickstarter for Greenman still haven't gotten their stuff. But he does a lot of tokens and other things. He has these see-through templates that fit on top of your Imperial ship bases that have lines that break into quadrants, you know, for are you north, south, east, west, northeast, whatever. So when you're trying to roll the die to figure out is your thing, get your laser sights or whatever to kind of actually make it a lot easier to determine, you know, the closest ship, what section are they in, which table are you rolling on, and I know I've chatted with him online, and he started playing. Here's the Theory Cluster. He's making a bunch of acrylic products for it, and so you can actually buy a stack of these templates that can fit over top of your bases to help you figure out, you know, which quadrant, you know, you're in for the AI. And I think this one stack, I'm not sure how much it is or how many stacks there are, but it's 6.2 euros. So for US dollars, it's, you know, a little under $10. But and then there's shipping. You know, the shipping, what I found, wasn't expensive, but it took a lengthy amount of time to actually get to you. But it wasn't insane. So if you're looking for things to help you with Heroes Theory Cluster, this little over the base thing is actually pretty cool. I will say that he actually is going to send some to us. Because I always talk about his templates every chance I get, and then thanks, he's actually sending some of those HotAC templates. We'll try to put the link to that in the show notes, but they're actually pretty cool. I like them.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds like a really helpful product, because one of the hardest parts of this is actually making the determination of which sector you fall into. When the AI ship is trying to plot its maneuver, because it sort of becomes guesswork at some point.
Yeah. And your laser pointer, you know, from Harbor Freight for $5 in that, you can really help out. All right.
Cool.
So I think that might wrap up our episode. J-Bot, you've been quiet for a little bit. You recharging your batteries? You got anything you want to say to anyone out there?
No, I agree with you guys. I guess we can just reiterate the fact that the AI is something that tends to kind of put people off. They hear AI, they assume it's going to be it's going to be easy. We can walk all over it, and they've added things to it. The kind of automatic focuses and target locks and things like that are not similar to a regular game. They make the AI, in a sense, smarter or better than you would expect, and it catches people off guard. Don't underestimate it. I say give it a shot, because you'll be pleasantly surprised. I mean, I think we've heard one person, or I've heard one person, that hasn't liked it so far.
Well,
because of the AI. And I've heard one other person who didn't like the game, but only because he was fairly certain he got the AI wrong once he saw us playing it. He was like, "Oh, I didn't understand that's how it worked." And I think if you get it right, it is incredibly well balanced, and it will surprise you with how smart it is.
Yeah. So even I'm getting it wrong, and and I'm looking at the charts, and it's still a challenge for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, but those little mistakes, they don't really usually matter that much. You're still going to have a good game experience, even if you aren't getting everything right. As long as you're getting most of the stuff right,
yeah,
then it'll still work. It's not like the campaign is going to break because you forgot to, do something in the exact right order, or that they, or if you're getting the swerve options a little bit wrong.
Yeah. Cool. So, Jake, any last comments from you? Jake the Break?
Listen, I mean, I try to hold my tongue about, keeping on the brakes. I know how much you like to do those one banks in a shuttle, which can't physically do it. And then I have to put it up to dry dock. But hey, I'm going to hold my tongue. I'll hold my tongue for you. And in the meantime, I'll try and fabricate some more restraining bolts and try and figure out if all the furniture in this place is actually just Ewok bodies.
Yeah, it's getting a little hard.
These are not the Ewok bodies you're looking for.
These are not the Ewok bodies I'm looking for.
Yeah, just put that weak body on the coffee table over there. Wait, that's not a coffee table. All right, so thanks again for listening to the Shuttle Tydirium podcast. We hope to bring you some more exciting episodes, more HotAC, and other stuff as well. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Are there any last words from anybody?
No, I think we're all good here. Try and get back to basics on your storage, people. Let's not spend more on storage than we do in our games. That's kind of my small point for the night.
Yeah.
Jake?
I'm all good. I'm all set.
All right. For me, I think. Oh, there is an update on the luggage handler Ewoks strike. The strike is over. The Ewoks actually had a party. They had a little festival, and they're feeling a lot better about their situation. The negotiator that was sent actually was a guest of honor in that party, and the Ewoks ate him.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, sorry, J-Bot. No negotiating left for you to do once we get there.
Well, that's open to interpretation, honestly.
You might find something to negotiate.
I can always find something to negotiate.
The baggage handling strike is over.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.